Welcome into a very special bonus episode of the Midtown Madness podcast. This is the Homefield and Billiken collaboration review episode. I mean, it's funny that we're doing this, Pete, because we're reviewing merchandise, and we're reviewing merchandise that sponsors the pod. And so it's just kind of funny. Look, we both truthfully love the collection. We had, I think I told you that there was one shirt, and we can get into it, but there was one shirt I wasn't really sure on the design, and then I kind of spun it in my head, and it made sense to me, and I'll tell the listeners about that. But Pete, we're gonna just go through our initial reactions to the designs, talk about where the logos came from, and we're going to each give our top three favorites at the end. Exciting. I mean, we're both obviously wearing the shirt today.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're selling us short a little bit when you say we're just talking about merch, because really what we're doing is modeling here. And I think it's something that we were both born to do.
Well, you saw the picture I tweeted from our account today.
Yeah, and that's like exhibit A, and why we have such a large and devoted young female audience.
Yes, we are Billiken sex symbols, I think now. I don't
give the people what they want.
Somehow we pulled it off. But yeah, I'm wearing I don't even want to get into it because we're going to get into it later, but Homefield apparently knows us, because they sent us both the shirts that we were really putting high on our list of shirts to get.
Yeah, for sure. They teased out, they gave us a little sneak peek of 4 designs, and we didn't know which ones we were going to get. We each wound up getting 2 different ones, which was pretty cool. And it was each one of the 4 initial designs that we saw. We didn't see the whole 10-piece collection. But we each got 2 of those first 4 that we saw, and yeah, they're all great.
A lot of talk about giving credit where credit is due in the Billiken community lately, especially surrounding us. Apparently, I think we'd be remiss not to talk about who deserves credit for making all this happen. First and foremost, while yes, I've been beating the drum for like a decade, and I can't believe it might actually be a decade that I've been talking about this, and you've kind of joined me in that crusade more recently. But really, I think the credit for linking up, I've been talking about Homefield, and Homefield is great, but the people that really got on Homefield's butt about getting with SLU and getting on SLU's butt about getting with Homefield is West Pine Bills. Just an incredible groundswell, grassroots effort to get Billiken fans united behind the cause of getting Homefield and SLU linked up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one or both of them that has kind of been, as you say, kind of banging the drum, but they did a really good job of, I guess you could say, pestering the right people to make this happen. I know, and don't sell yourself short either. I know you've been, pestering people too, for years when it comes to the merch. And that's, you've said before, that's always kind of been your thing. I've definitely always thought that we needed to do a lot more, SLU as an athletic department, to give fans, a bigger variety and cooler stuff to wear. But yeah, you guys, and yeah, should definitely a shout out to West Pine Bills, have done a great job of really staying on top of it, on top of people, and not letting the athletic department forget that there's something they need to improve on, and all credit to them for really answering the call.
One of the weirder things I think about the merchandise situation for St. Louis University is that we have such a unique mascot and a unique logo. And I think Billiken fans just want it to be used more. And if you look at these designs, I mean, the logo history is just outstanding as far as vintage logos.
It is. I mean, like, how many schools can say that they are truly one of a kind. Like there's no other institution that uses this. That should be such a focal point of all of your marketing and outreach and branding. And sure, yeah, it's your mascot is your logo, so it is naturally part of it. But I think we've undersold it for way too long.
It should be more like the hawk.
Yeah, sure, like the mascot itself
Yeah,
being more of a focal point.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think the mascot should be a full athletic scholarship. Personally, I think they should be. It should be a sought after position by high school seniors. I mean, well, people who have been mascots in high school, not just, because it's become that. I mean, they have done a better job at making sure it's just not whatever intern will put on the mascot, or hey, let's call Zach to do a photo shoot. Like,
Yeah.
uh, so it's good to see. And you know, since we're talking about the athletic department, I think we need to acknowledge the main person who jumped on this and ran with it, with the autonomy given to him by the athletic department, the powers that be. That's Brent Gallagher. Absolutely great job by Brent Gallagher, not only putting together this home field deal, but also we're going to have 19.9 dropping merchandise here, I believe, later in the fall, closer to the season. So, Brent, amazing job. Keep doing this. Keep finding new. If you're listening, I don't know if you listen. I'm not in contact with them, but if you're listening, keep on keeping on. Keep reaching out to companies. These, trendy companies. People want this stuff. So, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I believe Homefield moved 600 units yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
that's in Billiken
No.
merchandise alone. That's a groundswell for a small athletic department. I mean, we're big in effort as an athletic department, but we're still small. We're a smaller school with a smaller fan base, and just an outstanding job by Billiken fans.
Yeah, and you can, you knew the scale of ours was going to be a little bit different for them than some of the other ones that we've seen between the time that we knew this was coming and the time of the actual release. In that span, they've released schools like LSU, Notre Dame. I think the next one is USC. Those get much longer, more drawn out preview periods, because they know that there are tens or hundreds of thousands of engaged fans of those programs. It's a little bit different for us, and so we got a smaller, shorter rollout, but it's clear that there was demand for this. I mean, I was in meetings all morning, yesterday, unfortunately, and by the time I logged on to put in an order, one of the things was already sold out in two sizes. That hoodie, it was sold out in large and extra large.
I was bummed about that as well. I took a shot at a medium, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so it's just I was like, okay, wow, like people are not playing around. They were ready, and I know of a few of us were part of the kind of you know um I don't know, viral marketing sort of campaign for this, and
They do
yeah,
unbelievable on social media.
they really do. Yeah, it was really fun on Twitter to engage with all of it, and even though we did only have kind of the 24-hour tease period, as they call it, it was a lot of fun, and they do a great job. It's been a blast.
Yeah, we need to remind everyone of Carter Chapley's blog. It's in his more recent tweets. He gave a complete history of this merchandising expansion, as well. So, and he covers kind of how everything came together and the timeline. But last but not least, we need to thank Whitney over at Homefield. Um, just so great to work with her. She was, I mean, so gracious of her to, even let us in on this, because I mean, we don't have that big of an audience. We are a niche podcast. And I mean, for them to, give us a promo code and send us a couple of shirts, which was a little bit of a saga yesterday. Nothing Homefield did, but I had a little delivery issue here in my apartment complex, but we got it straightened out. But Whitney was unbelievable, wasn't she, Pete?
Yeah, and why don't you actually explain how that came about for us personally?
Oh man, that's been so long.
It's been a few months.
Yeah,
Who made,
I
who made the initial contact though?
I mean, I reached out to Homefield, just basically saying whatever we can do to make this launch as successful as possible. I mean, I've been tweeting and joining in with West Pine Bills on outward tweets as well, but kind of slid into the Homefield DMs and just said, I actually initially wanted them to come on the podcast and talk about how the deal came about from their end. Uh, that didn't come to fruition, or we forgot about it and they just kind of pushed up the launch. Um, so that never happened, but we did discuss, potentially getting a promo code and plugging it on the podcast and doing some viral, trying to get, drum up the interest on the shirts because, at the end of the day, it's important to show the athletic department that we support these risks they're taking. And that's what they're viewing it as. I don't view it as a risk. I view it as a win-win. It's going to be successful. So, yeah, that's kind of how it came together. And she, it kind of, we didn't really even get any, um, we had no idea when we were getting the shirts. So them arriving uh, on launch day was pretty great. So
Yeah. Yeah, just in time for us to kind of throw some preview photos out there on our Twitter account. And I know I definitely got a few questions like, hey, how does it fit?
mhm.
Should I go up, down a size, whatever, stuff like that. So it was definitely good to get those in time. We didn't know when those were coming, but like you said, she was great to work with. I don't know if they ever would have done the show or not, but to them it was like, I don't know how they viewed us, but we kind
Yeah.
of fell into their laps for sure, by you reaching out, and it worked out really well in terms of us and West Pine Bills being. And were there any others on the SLU side?
On the SLU side, I think it was just West Pine mainly.
Okay.
And then, I mean, I think, everybody kind of jumped in on it
Yeah.
and tweeted when they could. And it was, I mean, again, this small but mighty
Yeah.
fan base
We we
just,
pu- we pushed it out on our Twitter account. We're still relatively new. We're at like 400 something followers.
yeah,
West Pine just hit 900 followers. I'm sure there's a lot of
show
overlap
offs,
there. I
show
know.
offs.
I know. We'll catch them.
Yeah.
And then it was on the Billikens.com message board. So there were a few different ways that we were kind of reaching all the hardcore fans. And yeah, I mean, clearly yesterday was a big day. So that's great. And hopefully the sizes they've already kind of run out of get restocked soon. And maybe they'll add more designs down the road. Who knows?
Yeah, my next order will be the well, I don't want to give away my list, but that STLU shirt is
Yeah.
next on my list. Um, let's talk about what we thought when we let's talk about we got the email from Homefield, and they basically said they gave us kind of a rundown of the launch, what they wanted from us, and they hid something in there kind of in plain sight that it was going to be 10 pieces. What was your reaction when you found out that the collection was actually going to be quite large?
So my when we first found out about this, like in what May or June,
Right.
I guess is when we found out. Um, I thought, okay, so what are the other schools that are comparable to us in there? So I was looking at like George Washington, which has 5 pieces with I think 4 different designs, because one's like a sweatshirt and a t-shirt, and they're all awesome designs, by the way. If I weren't like
Mhm.
opposing A10 fan, those are all pretty cool. So George Washington had 5. I looked at a couple other A10 schools. I want to say Dayton has like 15.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long Dayton's been around, and they obviously have a really strong fan base that's supporting it. And then I looked at Xavier because I thought, okay, there's a school that's the program's at a higher level,
Mhm.
slightly smaller school though. and they had 8 in there. So I thought, okay, we're probably going to be in the neighborhood of 5 to 8, like the George Washington to Xavier is kind of where I indexed it. So when I heard 10, I was like, whoa, that's pretty great. I didn't think we would necessarily have 10 different designs, because if we had, we've got like a hoodie, a crew neck, a couple other things, we might only have 7 or 8 designs, and that's what it wound up being. But 10 pieces is a really nice starting point.
Yeah, it's comparatively, I think Butler might be the best one to throw out there. They only have 8, and the company's based in Indiana.
Yeah,
So take that for however you
yeah,
wanna run with that. I mean, they are Indiana fans more than Butler fans, but Alabama has 17. Just kind of throw that one out there. But I mean, they have like national championship shirts, and
right.
they go way into the weeds. But yeah, I mean, I was very happy to hear that we were going to get way more than just like 3 designs. And I think SLU, the history of St. Louis University athletics, deserves credit for that, given that they just have so many former logos and so many logo options, which is surprising because looking back as a fan, I really don't feel like traditions. I don't feel like we have that many traditions like that we can hang our hats on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's something we've talked about, being SLU basketball fans our whole lives. Momentum. We've always had we've never been able to establish a really long-term momentum as a program.
Yeah.
We don't have some of the more established traditions. I mean, not as much as I'm not a college football fan, I think a
Right.
lot of the football schools do have some of
Mhm.
those deeper, stronger traditions. Um, there are some other reasons for it, I think, that are probably complicated, and we don't have all the time to get into. But um, like you said before, we do have a really strong, a long history, and a great logo history that's
Mhm.
just so rich and has never really been tapped into in a major way before. I mean, some of us nerds have shared things that we found over the years, but there's just so much untapped potential here that we're finally starting to peel back.
Yeah, eh, I'm just it's so great to see these old logos on t-shirts that are super soft, super comfortable. It's just I'm over the moon with this whole release. Um, we got the 4 designs in a we got the sneak peek, which actually turned out to be the link that I think it was almost the link that everybody sees, um, that St. Louis University has shared. The bouncing Billiken, the more slew high looking Billiken, that the older one sitting on the blue shirt, and then the actual picture of the statue. What was your reaction to that sneak peek? What did you think of the designs we got to see early?
Yeah, so the sitting Billiken didn't surprise me. The one that SLU High has kind of since adopted as their primary logo, which a little painful for me, but that's fine. Um, and then the one that didn't quite, it didn't quite pop on the screen, but once I got it, this one here, the other sitting Billiken logo, the one, the golden Billiken, I think is
Mm-hmm.
what they're calling it. Once I actually got the shirt, it looks a lot better. In person on the shirt. I think it really works. I like that one a lot. So yeah, I mean, I was excited. I thought these were all pretty cool. And that dribbling Billiken, for whatever reason, that one had completely escaped my memory. So when we saw that, that was exciting. The one you're wearing right now.
Yeah, I think the one I thought was gonna be used that didn't get to be used, and we can just dive right into that. There were 2 things that I was surprised that Homefield didn't go for, and that was the shooting Billiken. I
Mm,
don't You've seen that one, right? If you Google like vintage Billiken, you'll find like a picture that was hung in Chaffetz or somewhere in the university of this kind of looking Billiken, but he's shooting the ball. And I thought they would use that, but I don't know if they came across like that picture. And then I did thought they might include the clock tower in something,
Hmm.
as just kind of a nod to the university itself, but they didn't use that. Were you surprised at any omissions or anything that they missed?
There's it might be just the bias of my era when I was there, but in the 90s and kind of I guess early aughts, we had some stuff with a Billiken spinning the ball on his finger. It's kind of the Billiken that the like the full size, the full body
Mhm.
Billiken spinning the basketball on his finger, that you would have seen in the Spoon era.
Well,
Um,
that's the Missouri shirt, right?
No, that's so it's a little different. So that
Okay.
I was just gonna say so that the 1980s one, which is more of like the Grauer era, the one where he's standing in front of the outline of Missouri spinning the basketball, that Billiken's a little bit different than the one that came right after it that would be more associated with like the Charlie Spoonhour era. So that's one that I kind of expected to see. Um, but yeah, certainly the one that they had, the 80s one, is a little more of a throwback. And I actually do have a couple shirts that have the one that I'm referring to that I probably should have brought down, to show what I'm talking about for YouTube purposes, but oh well.
Yeah, I have the logo here that I was talking about. I wish I could remember off the top of my head how to share the screen I'm looking at, but I do not remember. Every time I tell myself I am going to remember how to do that so I can like mess around and do cool things. I completely forget. Oh, it's right in front of me. Hold on. Advanced sharing app. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. That's going to end badly for me.
So instead,
Uh,
why don't you tell us about one of the biggest surprises in here was kind of the, I don't know if you want to call it the original era, but certainly the golden era of slew football and Bender's Billikens.
yeah, that STLU shirt. And I'll try to put these up in post production. Um, but the vintage St. Louis STLUT. Well, Jesus, did I? The way I said that. Oh my God. Thank God it's not the vintage SLUT. Um,
Family show.
we've gone off the rails. The STLU t-shirt. Yeah, it's actually a replica of the of a shirt that or a sweater looks like that John Bender wore in a couple photos. So that's where they found that one. And I think that one is my like dark horse, like that I just totally didn't know, like it didn't even occur to me that they would use that.
No, yeah, yeah, completely. It's because it's from so long ago. It's from over a century ago, and when you look at the lettering itself, it has that like very kind of uneven.
Mhm.
You can tell like just that it was a hand design, and it was fabric on fabric. If it was ever on a like his sweatshirt or whatever,
Mhm.
or if it was ever on a ball cap or anything, because the S is not perfectly symmetrical. The L has kind of a weird bottom. The way it all fits together is just a little unusual, and so as soon as I saw it, it was like, whoa, that's really old. Like whatever that design is, that's really old. So to see what they were actually doing there was really exciting.
It really does have like that. When you always see like pictures of old hockey, like old
Yes,
hockey, yeah, it has a really
like
like,
original hockey. Yeah,
yes, yes. No, it's so pretty, and I definitely think that's my next purchase. Um, you know, dude, I can't stop looking at these. They're so cool. I'm like, I'm just fawning over them all. Um, yeah, that one was really creative and surprising.
yeah,
I really do. I just would you so one of the criticisms we saw today, and I mean I get it, is the lack of blue, which is funny because the balls are actually blue in the shirts. So there's extra, but blue shirts. There's only two blue shirts in the collection. I mean, I think what people are losing, and tell me if I'm off base here, is that you have a small company. This is a small business based out of Indiana. Everything is printed in house, and really, it. it's like what you see when you go to these local restaurants here in St. Louis or anywhere where kind of the restaurant boom that we've seen in the last 10 years where local people are just making killer food. They're doing small menus. So what this is small menus. They're keeping the cost down with these shirts. They can't like it's the gray is easier to hold in stock. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, because this heather gray that we both have on right now, click on any other school on the website and you can see that they've done something on that color.
Right.
Blue is naturally not going to be able to be used for all of their schools, only the ones that are blue. And even that, you've got a lot of different tones of blue.
Mhm.
They can only stock so much of every color. So if you had looked at Homefield at all in advance,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be surprised or disappointed by that. It's just not what they do. And it makes perfect sense when it comes to sourcing and stocking. They just can't keep a specific kind of royal blue, um, or at least, I mean, they can keep it, just not as much of it, because there's a
Right.
handful of schools that can use it.
And we
Um,
know, and Duke is not an available school right now.
yeah,
Like if you go and look at Creighton, the blue is suspiciously similar. I mean,
right. Yeah,
the
which is
J, yeah,
fine.
yeah, that's
Which is
fine.
fine, or Buffalo or whatever. I mean, it's
Yes,
like, yeah, by
exactly.
all means. So yeah, I mean, if you were kind of looking at what they do, it's just not what they do, and that to me is perfectly fine. I like this gray. It goes with
Mhm.
everything. You can wear it any season. I think it's cool, and there are still two new blue shirts that SLU fans have never had before. So, like,
I can accessorize it with the jacket. No, it's just
there you go. What a nice
Jesus.
fall look.
Yeah, just a great fall look. Put some flannel over it,
Yeah, that's right.
with some boot, with some chaka. I don't know. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. We're losing it today. It's not our usual night. Um, yeah, that let's talk about the Dribble and Billikens logo. Where where did they get that logo from? Because that's again, that's a find.
It is. It's so cool. And like, having been around SLU so much, it's one that, like I said, I was genuinely surprised. It's such an odd one. The face is very weird. It's the crown's a little bit bigger and different. And I kind of like that the sort of trail of bounces of the basketball makes the arch, which, if you look at the year that this was designed, 1965, is not a coincidence. They
No,
said they found this one on a 1965 ticket stub, which is just great. And no wonder I hadn't had this one imprinted in my brain like I had some of the others. But it's the one you're wearing. Safe to say you like it.
I love it. It is it will be my my go-to game day shirt, I think, for the foreseeable future. At least, I mean, until I get this hoodie and vintage STLU shirt in. But
Yeah,
it's so cool. And what the cool thing about Homefield is that they do put where they found the logo,
yeah,
for the most part, on their website underneath the or in the description of the item. So look at the the Billiken script shirt. They found it. It's probably the most recent um, design. It was found on a 90s baseball jersey. And I think it's super cool.
yeah. At first, it's the one that I kind of just looked past. Like, it's
Yeah.
listed 10th, and I was like, yeah, it's probably number 10 on my list. But the more I look at it, the kind of more unique it is. These jerseys are a little before my time, but it's got a really unusual, very thick kind of script on it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's almost like a Comic Sans script in a way.
except it's like
It's
it's
better, except
a
it's
cursive.
completely not Comic
It's
Sans because it doesn't suck.
it's just a really thick font, thick cursive.
Yeah.
That when they said they had it on a 90s baseball jersey, made total sense to me.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of, it has a comic book look to it in my mind, but I mean, again, I could be completely off. The only one that is not directly a throwback would be the St. Louis University tee. Uh, Basically just retro inspired word mark. That's kind of the one that I think is, I mean, it's very cool, and I would definitely wear it, but it's kind of, one of those that's easy to overlook. I think.
Yeah, I mean, the white on blue, I think really pops,
Yep.
especially on a darker gray color. I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of font was on like an old, basketball or graduation program or something like
Yeah.
that, from kind of a like a
Or the
mid-century.
Universitas the
Yeah,
like the yearbook or whatever.
like it's something that I could have seen like in the 50s or 60s. It was probably on some sort of, printed material or something like that. It's not quite, it has a little bit of a Western vibe.
Hmm.
Not quite like the old Kansas script that they had on their athletic stuff that they kind of got rid of for whatever reason. It's not totally, it's not as exaggerated as that, but it's not totally dissimilar either.
I tell you, the one that I had to take about 30 minutes to digest was the Billiken on the outline of Missouri. We kind of skimmed over that one.
Yeah.
I think originally I didn't really want any association with Missouri, but but I think as our tweets kind of showed, that I came around and eventually just thought of it as planting a flag in the state.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Missouri's offerings on the site, they don't have anything that references the state besides the name, obviously.
Yeah, I like it. I don't mind, putting our stamp on the whole state at all. And this Billiken, it's the 80s one. It's the one like I associate, like when I look at this, I think Kiel Auditorium,
Hmm.
Grauer teams. It is what I'm
Billiken
looking at
wearing a
with this.
tuxedo on the sidelines.
Yeah, this is like yeah, exactly. This is like just like one generation ahead of me in terms of uh, you know, like who would remember this as a kid? I was a little too young for the
Yeah.
to really remember this one in person. But that's definitely from all the stuff I've seen over the years. That's the vibe here, and putting it over the state of Missouri is a cool choice. I like that aspect of it.
My favorite part of this logo has always been that the physique of the Billiken looks like
Yeah,
my uncle.
this the Billiken definitely, he definitely let himself go in the 80s.
He spent a lot of nights at Humphreys.
Yes, yeah, the 80s were tough on the Billiken.
All right, Pete. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Let's go back and forth.
All right.
Your number three. So we're gonna go one being your favorite, three being your third favorite. So
Well, no,
let's start with your number three.
number three is easy because it's the one we just talked about. I like the fat 80s bill,
Mhm.
spinning the ball. Like I said, I expected them to have the next generation spinning the ball full size Billiken, but I like this one just fine. I think he's fun and cool, and like I said, Kiel Auditorium, Grauer teams. I think that's the vibe here.
Yeah, I can see why that one hits your list hard.
Yeah, what's your number three?
STLU. It's a dark horse for me because it almost it's almost third by virtue of being so low on the page.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't deserve it. It kind of yeah, and because it doesn't have technically a Billiken on it. So but it's so cool. It's so like out there and a deep cut, and I just really like anything that predates me. So like how talked about how you kind of identified more with that Billiken in the late 90s.
yeah,
I like when I don't identify with a certain Billiken, like by age. Like I like going back further than my time. So
yeah,
that hits me harder. Like I think personally, I never liked the logo while I was growing up. Like I always thought the logo was kind of cheap. I don't know, it was cheap maybe, and didn't really. It had really thin lines, and uh,
yeah.
that two mid 2000s Billiken, and that
Right.
really people still fawn over. And personally, I don't. Funny enough, but you're number two.
Yeah, so I think for my number two, I gotta go with the one they are calling the retro T crew neck, the 1958 design, which we before we said was the one that's like that's the sitting Billiken with his feet straight out, and I think Slew High uses it now. I really like this one. It's kind of a it's just got a really kind of soft,
Mhm.
charming kind of look to it that I don't know. It's definitely a Billiken I'm very familiar with. I've seen it all over the athletic department in my years there, and it's not a perfect match of the statue, but I like it. I think it's fun.
I am personally familiar with that logo.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a 1958 illustration, but good to know. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Thanks, Cody Ellis, for drawing that one out for me.
So what's your number two?
My number two is the King. I would call it the King Billiken hoodie.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the one I bought immediately. I mean, first of all, just looking at that hoodie, it just looks like I could take a fat nap in it.
yeah.
Like it looks like I'm sitting on the couch on a Saturday afternoon. And I'm just snoozing in that hoodie. So, but that logo is just gorgeous. I mean, it's such a bizarre logo. Like, but I'm bizarre. Like, I'm a quirky dude. Like that kind of stuff, like, does it for me.
Yeah,
Weird, weird stuff.
it's a great logo. It's the
Yeah.
one that they had from 71 to 85. They say
Mhm.
they used it.
And you are wearing the t-shirt version.
I'm wearing the t-shirt version, and it is my number one. And it honestly, here I'll kind of put it in frame for our YouTube people there for a second. It's one. So
Did
the
you
first
just
time
Drea pop your shirt?
I did, is that what that's called?
I don't know.
Uh,
That's what I'm calling it.
yeah.
I nicknamed all these shirts. I might as well nickname the Drea shirt pop.
I mean, we were around each other for 3 years, so some of his habits unfortunately wore off on me, I guess. But anyway, yeah. And speaking of that era, that's the first time I actually saw this logo. Even though it was a 71 to 85 logo, but we had a team issue. It was like a Nike Flex Fit hat that we got. The whole team got them. I think this was like my junior year, and I mean I beat that hat up. I wore it all the time, and I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. But I love that logo so much, and I was afraid after I had either destroyed or lost that hat. I don't remember what happened to it, that I would never see that on anything again. I You can find it online, and I'm dorky enough to where a couple of years ago when we were, my wife and our son were painting Halloween pumpkins. I painted that logo on mine, and I put that on my Twitter, and shared that, as well. But this has always been my favorite Billiken logo ever since I've seen it. I love this design. It's actually from a later era than I would have guessed. When I look at this, I think it's more like kind of 60s ish, like early
Mhm.
60s. It has that kind of early 60s, um, comic or logo vibe to me, and I just think it's fantastic.
So my first experience with that logo was I believe we had a mini hoop in my uncle's basement that was set up, and I would uh without fail end up down there with those souvenir mini basketballs they throw out, and
Oh,
I'd shoot on that hoop, and the inside of the backboard square had that logo, I believe, if I recall correctly. I could be
oh wow.
completely mistaken, but that logo is awesome, and yeah, it rightfully so is your number one.
Yeah. Yeah. What's yours?
The dribble and Billiken, I think everybody saw it coming.
Yeah.
It's just it's it's so, like, I love the era of logos in everything where whatever sport your team had to play, or your whatever sport your team was playing, that's the you had to put the ball in there, or the
Yeah.
puck. Like, it was
Yeah.
a hockey team, you had a hockey puck in your logo, if you know, or like in the 90s, like the Mighty Ducks had the hockey sticks, or the sharks had the crunching stick in the shark's mouth. So that's always been kind of a nostalgic thing for me too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would love this in any other style, Homefield. So if you put it out on a hoodie, I'll be first in line.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
in addition to the two you've gotten, what else do you have on the way?
the hoodie, and then I have the STLU shirt on the way.
Okay.
I kind of I was passive on the purchasing, so I can, I'll eventually end up with probably every shirt, but just kind of doing it in waves as to not get tired of them, which I don't think I'll ever get tired of them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna need a lot of laundry detergent because I'm just gonna wear these over and over and
Right.
continue to now. Yeah, I think that about covers the whole launch. Any other thing you wanted to talk about the home field or
Just that everybody's done a great job of getting in on this and voting with your dollars. We don't have any vested interest in home field.
other
We
than they sent us some cool shit?
Right, but it's not like we
Right,
own stock in the company or anything like
right.
that. I mean, we're just fans of what they do and just thrilled that that SLU has some merch that's maybe a little more appealing.
Hmm.
Um, than some of the stuff we've had over the years. They're kind of broadening what they're offering. And so I think by everybody kind of jumping on this right away and signaling not just a home field, like, hey, we're here, keep it coming, keep it in stock, but to SLU, like, hey, these partnerships with some of these more boutique labels like
Hmm.
Homefield and is 19.9.
19.9, yeah.
Yeah, those. I mean, I've seen some of their recent shorts, and there's definitely a lot to be excited about there. So by sending that signal to SLU's athletic department and the institution, just like, hey, we're here, and if you supply this stuff, we're going to buy it. I think it's great. It gives us all more options as
Yeah,
fans, and
yeah.
that's
I
what we
think
want.
I think that's the most important part is that um, the athletic department sees that merchandise is a big deal, and it's something that can really help grow your brand. I mean, look at how many people tweeted out how excited they were that weren't even Billiken fans.
Yeah,
Or I mean, there are people that didn't even know the Billiken that may not have even known what a Billiken was yesterday that now know that we have a rich history of awesome historic logos.
and sort of by luck, if you go to home
Ha ha.
if you go to oh
You,
yeah
you,
oh
you.
I did not actually intend to do that, but if you go to Homefield's site and hover over the word shop at the top, every college they have organized A through D, E through L, M through R, and S through
Mhm.
Z. St. Louis, just in alphabetical order, is the top of the S to Z column. So we wound up just alphabetically getting a really lucky spot on their web shop. And yeah, I mean, like you said, people who aren't SLU fans too, who want to pick up some really unique stuff because we are a one of a kind mascot. But any school you click on here, if you're even a moderate fan, they've probably got a design you're going to like. I mean, I talked about George Washington, which I can't buy any of their stuff because we're A10 foes, but
Yes.
I love the designs. Northern Kentucky, I happened to click on yesterday because they're right across the river from me. And I had no idea their design for years was like this Hanna-Barbera looking cartoon dragon. It's awesome. And his name was Hey You, as in the letter U. Uh, and I've been really tempted to grab that one as well.
That's pretty cool. You
But
said that's
hopefully,
Northern Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky, it's the first one. But
Oh
hopefully,
my God.
people are going to home field. They see St. Louis up there, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, what are they again? And you click on St. Louis, and now all of a sudden, people are down the rabbit hole and they're buying some pretty unique products. So I love it.
I want to know what went into their decision to put the university logo next to the name.
Don't know. I recently bugged Top Drawer Soccer in their rankings. All the logos that they put next to the schools, they put kind of the standard athletic department logos, but Indiana has their soccer logo with like their 7 stars or 8
Yeah.
stars, however. however many national championships they're up to. And I was like, hey, top that's weird, Top Drawer Soccer. Why did they get that? And SLU with 10 national championships doesn't have it. And within 2 weeks, they had our soccer logo up there. So
You're
maybe
doing
it's
God's work out there.
maybe it's just a matter of going, hey, Homefield, why don't you put our athletic logo up and not the one that comes on the mail that they're sending me when they're asking me for money.
Yeah, it's we are really snobs about logos, aren't we?
I mean,
I no, I get it. No, it has to be right. It has to be. And speaking of getting it right, Homefield rightly spelled out St. Louis. So you can't forget to talk about that.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Um,
they've gone through piles of SLU athletic history, so
yeah,
they've seen our word mark completely spelled out year after year. Not on every uniform we've ever had, by the way.
right.
Easy Ed famously had ST, but yeah, we typically are using St. Louis, and that's the official way. And of course, they respect that and they got it right.
Yeah, one more thing I'm just thinking of now is that I was surprised they didn't do any soccer specific stuff because they are Indiana based and they are Indiana Hoosier fans and
Maybe that's why.
yeah, they're jealous, man. They're jealous of our 10 natties. Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything there is to cover with Homefield. Don't forget that if you haven't ordered yet, there are 2 great promo codes out there. It'd be great if you used ours, but if you use the other one, no big deal. Ours is Midtown Madness. It saves you 15% on your first order. So, either buy a bunch at once or get a couple of different emails and go in there.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely do that because I wound up buying 6 different things. There's the 2 that they sent us. There's the hoodie that was sold out that I couldn't get, and I decided to leave one other shirt available so I could pair it with the hoodie later and get free shipping. But what would have been a $218 order had 32 or $33 knocked off basically. So if you're going to buy a few things, 15% is real money. So
Yes,
use
it
it.
is.
Definitely use that code.
Yeah.
And again, we're not getting anything. We're not getting like paid or anything from this. We're just fans of SLU and fans of what Homefield's doing here. Um, so yeah, use the code and stock up on some cool stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We're gonna. I mean, I wore the sitting Billiken, the blue shirt. I wore it yesterday. I'm wearing this today. I gotta wash the other one for homecoming game. So the homecoming soccer game on Saturday night. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to follow us at Midtown Mad Pod. Make sure you're subscribing wherever you're getting our releases. And hopefully I can provide a better viewing experience on this. Went way longer than I thought it would. We went on and on. This was supposed to be a 30-minute bonus episode, but anyway, guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you Monday with our regularly scheduled programming. Go Bills.
Go Bills.